Hang on. Can Scotland not throw a grenade in there?
They're going to make movies of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, French movies. And he would say, if Marnie's picked, he would say, okay, how can I help you? Because the viewpoint is, let's do this together. And how they structure their remuneration is different as well. If you play 1 minute or every minute, you get paid exactly the same. And that is very important to know that.
I wasn't taking my shirt off when I was 36 when I retired. Honestly, I was hiding from the cameras. But I agree with your answer. I'll give you a high five on that.
High five.
Yeah.
High five. High five.
Welcome to another episode of Rugby After Hours. I'm your host, Johnnie Beattie, and what a round of games we've seen here in the south of France at the Rugby World Cup. I'm delighted to be joined by three legends on the couch. We're going to digest the games we've just seen, look ahead to the last round of pool matches. Henry Speight, what are you laughing at? Shala?
Johnny, you look beautiful, by the way.
The feeling's mutual. Schalk, Brits, and Justin Marshall, pleasure to have you with us. Boys, how have you been enjoying the comp so far?
Well, I think first of all, the pleasure is actually ours, isn't it, lads? Because this setup, it must be really tough for you, Johnny, to have to persevere your way through this every day. Like nearly fall in the pool on your way out the door type scenario. But just loving it. I think France are doing a magnificent job as hosts. The fact that it's been all around the south of France, including Paris for the opener. It's a beautiful country when the weather's amazing like this, and then you're required to wear sunglasses on set. You cannot complain.
And mate, you know it well. You played in Montpellier just down the road.
I did.
Why did you leave?
Money.
There was a money thing. No.
He played the most.
Was not. All the South Africans came in, and all of a sudden there was, they were converting the rand into euros, and that was it. I got asked out the back end, so I would have stayed, but it was their fault. You got any retort to that?
I don't know. I didn't ever earn any euros, Marshall, but it was quite a big pleasure playing with you at Series, bud.
Good man, thank you.
But you had the chance, you came close. There was a few clubs that tried to get you, Clermont, Biarritz, but you didn't come over. But what have you made of the competition so far?
It's been phenomenal. Well, watching from South Africa, it is just for me, playing for the first time, you've got Ireland, France as favourites, well, almost favourites going into it, 1 and 3. And for me, it's the Northern Hemisphere has stepped up. And this whole competition has been great. With the opener, New Zealand versus France, a beautiful game. I thought New Zealand might pip it. They didn't. France were phenomenal. Then you check the other games like Ireland beating South Africa. It felt like almost like a final. They played definitely the South Africans played to kick the living crap out of Ireland. Ireland changed the strategy. They did well. They won. We didn't take our opportunities. I mean, same with England coming into the World Cup. Everybody thought they would bar average, really. They gave Argentina a whipping, and they've actually progressed upwards. Sorry about Australia.
Oh, Henry, mate, you're the only one based here. Still living in Biarritz, but what have you made of it so far?
Well, apart from the Wallabies results, which have been unfortunate, I've just thoroughly enjoyed the so-called minnows, the tier 2 teams. Yes. Really giving it to a lot of the big teams. Fiji. Yes. First upset could have been 2 with the Welsh game.
And they should have.
Yeah. And even yesterday, Wallabies, Portugal was still a tough one.
And the blend of games, like the difference between two sides, some of them have been outstanding. You were at the SA game last night. Yeah. What did you make of the Springboks' performance?
Yeah, well, probably the best I've seen Tonga play. The big problem, I think, if you take the Pacific Islander teams, is time spent together, and it's quite hard. Like South Africa had a run up to it. They don't have enough time. I mean, Portugal was a surprise package if you talk about second-tier nations that nobody expected. They put their heart in their sleeve. They know they've got a small team, or not nearly as big as the others, and they play the ball around. But last night was phenomenal. The whole atmosphere going to the ground. I mean, I was feeling as if I'm back in South Africa. The pubs were playing Afrikaans music, and everyone is dancing and drinking, and it's awesome. And this morning, as you can see, I'm coming off the beach. I was in Cassis, although my boys were quite surprised at the lack of clothes people were wearing on the beach, and I didn't know how to explain to my boys. People sunbathe with less clothes than in South Africa, but it's been absolutely great. Although I've only been here for 2 days, I've luckily got another 5 days left.
Mate, you strike me as a man that could settle here quite easily, not just because of the nudity, but you'd enjoy the lifestyle, your boys would love it as well. A little bit about the game, so we talked about it there briefly, but Henry Pollard back in goal kicking, Manny Liebach as well. What have you made of those two? Henry coming back, knocking over his goals last night. How do you think that is going to go in terms of selection further on down the comp?
So firstly, in South Africa, there was a lot of talk, why bring Andre back in? It's going to put Mane under pressure. He's a confidence kind of player. He wants the team to believe in it. He wants to do the no-look kick. He's just the way the backline has moved and played, and the movement and the rhythm almost of the backline, he's performed extremely well. And they thought it's either or. And my view on it is that they can play both. I mean, you saw from Mane's kicking last night, it was great. Andre Pollard hasn't played in quite a while, except 40 minutes for Tigers or 50 minutes for Tigers. And he's back in it like as if he's never left the pitch. He wasn't injured. So for me, it's using that combination. I would start with Andre to get that. And that's what I felt against Ireland. We didn't take the points. We couldn't convert the points. We couldn't get scoreboard pressure, and that put us under pressure, especially if we go for that kind of split. We went off the bench with a bomb squad. Then you rather kick into the corner that we did a couple of weeks before the World Cup or the week before against New Zealand. So I think they can work beautifully together. You know, when you want the impact to come from the bench, yes, the bomb squad, but you bring Mane off and you leave, let's say, scrum off or someone else that can play scrum off. You leave him on the bench for a bit longer if there's an injury or something like that. But it's I think the combination. Andre is, last thing I would say about Andre is a different player to 2019. I think he's better and he's more mature. And he would say, if Mane's picked, he would say, okay, how can I help you? Because the viewpoint is, let's do this together. And how they structure their remuneration is different as well. If you play 1 minute or every minute, you get paid exactly the same. And that is very important to know that.
And South Africa now, qualification all but assured, likely to take on, well, who's it going to be, France, New Zealand or Italy?
Hang on. Can Scotland not throw a grenade in there? Come on.
All but assured, that's what I said. All but assured. You know who you're going to play potentially in the quarters. Yeah. How far do you reckon South Africa can go in this comp?
Well,
given that also we're sitting with the oldest winner of this competition, if you didn't know. I've got to throw that in. Great stat, I love it.
Yeah, good
and,
stat.
And also Rassi said last time that he didn't think the side were ready to win in 2019. They won it anyway.
Yeah,
now,
look, when I joined in 2018, there was all the chat was, okay, fine, there's 17 or 18 games to the final. We're going to do all we can to be as prepared for the World Cup. But our aim is 2023. It's now. Because he's looked at the stats and say, we're not actually statistically, because he's a stats wizard and he likes, not just him, but Jock, they do a lot of analysis. We don't have the experience of the test caps. If you look at previous teams that have won it, you have to have above a certain number. And we got lucky, I would say. We prepared well, we played well, but there was certain things that went our way and we won that World Cup. Going to this World Cup, it's interesting. Let's say from this perspective, 2019 was there was racial issues that was put on the squad. We came together and it said it's not about the game, it's actually about giving hope in South Africa. Now his message has changed. Yes, we want stronger together South Africa, but the other thing that we want to do now is we can build a legacy. We can be the second team behind New Zealand to go back to back. So we'll see how that works out.
Which wouldn't be bad. Henry, the Aussies, 34-14 victory last night for them.
Yeah.
They need results to go their way to still have qualification hopes alive. Is that going to be too little, too late for the Wallabies?
I think so, unfortunately. But I saw Eddie Jones is on a mission to send the Fijian boys over with his credit card and try and get the Fiji boys on the cover this week and hopefully let them sleep up a bit.
It's not a bad tactic, because it could very well slip into that, no problem.
That's it. But I think it'll still be how they handle the pressure this week. Fiji do. They almost bombed it on the weekend against Georgia, and the way Portugal are going, being their last game of the tournament, and they've really performed, as the men were saying. I think it's they'll get the win. They just need 1 point, I think it is, mathematically. But yeah, I think it's a bit too little too late for the Wallabies, unfortunately.
The ABs absolutely crucified the Italians. What did you make of that performance?
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Why not? I felt that imperative for the All Blacks leading into this tournament was they needed to go to Twickenham and comprehensively beat South Africa. And then they needed to go with that confidence and play France in the opener and beat them. Because my worry was the next challenge they get is a knockout game. Now that's being as respectful as I can, but they should always beat Uruguay, they should always beat Namibia, and they've never lost to Italy in their history. They are 3 games that are light work for them before they face, well, it looks like Ireland now, who are a different beast altogether. They won't miss tackles. They've got a really good game plan. They will push you defensively. They will kick their goals, and they will put you under pressure. So the All Blacks are going to canter through. They'll beat Uruguay quite comfortably by a cricket score, and then they face that knockout.
And so given what we said, they should beat Uruguay, they should rack up a score, they should assure their place in the quarters, but do you believe that they have the internal capability to change, to adapt, everything we've just spoken about, and to go on and win this World Cup? Do you think this group and the coaching staff is good enough to beat your France's and South Africa, or do you think it's going to be too tough for them?
If they've seen it, and they haven't shown that in the games when they've come under pressure, and it keeps resurfacing, and they look panicked and unsure of where they need to go. I hope they've done their homework on those first 2 games. Again, with the greatest respect, you know, the Italy game, they tackled at 63%. Now, you're breaking tackles against teams that just are not adequate enough in their defensive system to tackle you. Teams that will, then you've got to reset and start again. In answer to your question, do they have the personnel? 100%. They've got the players. They've got firepower. They've got physicality. Now that Frizzell's back, Retallick's back, you know, you got Whitelock off the bench, front rows all intact. Yeah, they've got the firepower and capability. Right there is where they need to adjust and set themselves and believe in that talent.
And that's it. I think everyone wants them to believe as well, because everybody wants an AB side
firing,
to be there, top of their game firing, and to make this comp exceptional. Boys, thank you very much for your insight. We're now going to play our first game of the evening. It's not a drinking game. It's agree or disagree. Okay, so we've got our paddles with a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I'm going to give you some statements from World Rugby Studios, and you let us know what you think. Ready?
Go.
The New Zealand-Italy match was a better spectacle than Ireland-South Africa, based on Ian Foster's comments post-match. Unanimous.
We all agree. What was he watching? It's a cricket school. It's not rugby.
Well, he was watching. There you go. You need the mic. He was watching ball and play, tempo. That's what you should want to watch. But
14 tries, yeah, it's entertaining, but it's not a contest. Like once it was to half time, you knew the result of the game, and it's just whether or not you hang in there to watch the rest of it and actually see whether or not they can get to a ton. But in terms of what rugby's all about, like that South African Ireland game, man, I was glued to that TV. Even for 5 minutes afterwards.
And the drama, right?
Yeah.
Like how intense it was. Absolutely incredible.
I was crying though. I was so sad.
You were just happy. Those were tears of happiness.
No, we lost. We lost against Ireland. So the one thing I thought is like, come on, just kick it over. And every time there's opportunity missed, you go, oh. And I feel for the player because he's just trying his best. You know, it was just his off day.
Right, next one. Sam Whitelock is rugby's greatest ever second row. Oh, I love it. Division. Right, Justin, you give us the 4 and the why.
Well, obviously, you know, I've got a black heart. That's usually at after midnight, Scully. You've seen that before, but anyway, we won't go into that DNA.
Soon, we're going. We're on our way.
But you must have a look at combinations, not just individual.
No.
This is the statement. This is the question. Stick to the script, man.
Yeah. Okay. In my mind, like I played with Alan Wynne-Jones as well, and I actually saw him this morning. He's actually playing for Toulon until November. He's coming as a joker, as a medical joker. Yeah.
Oh, so he's doing a Justin Marshall cash.
Yes, he's doing a Schalk Brits. Yeah, he's harvesting. He's harvesting, mate. So yeah, look, outstanding player, great resilience, and he gave everything to the game. And he's probably the one guy that, if I had to sort of flip, that I would debate is with Sam Whitelock. But Sam Whitelock, for what I've seen him do for All Black Rugby, for World Rugby, and the man that he's been for the Crusaders as well, which is close to my heart, that tips it for me.
Next one, boys. Eddie Jones is the right person to lead the Wallabies into the next World Cup cycle.
I thought you back Eddie. Now you're going thumbs down. I thought you like him.
When Henry Speight turns up, mate, and he's got a little bit of inside info about credit cards, I'm thinking he's going to be off to Japan, knowing Eddie. I think there's too much pressure. I do. I think there's been too much speculation. There's been too much chat around selection, players that's missed out. I just feel that there's going to be a swiping of the table in Australia, and they have to have a restart. And I think, unfortunately for Eddie, whether I agree with it or not, he'll be a victim of that.
So that being said, the next one, Hooper and Cooper should have been on the plane for the Wallabies, and they should have been playing in this World Cup.
You asked us to be controversial now. We probably are going to be all green. I mean, why would you not want to take those players with? They were one of the best rugby players in Australia. Not the world, like Sam. But, I mean, those are two experienced rugby players that, I mean, why wouldn't you want to take them with? That's the question. Or Eddie doesn't like people talking back to him. It's either that or why wouldn't you take an unbelievable captain? How many test matches has he played? 120?
Over 100.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great leader. He's going to come up, stand up for the players. Quaid is still at his age. They brought him back. It's just a phenomenal, still in his, I'm talking, it's rich coming from me finishing with 38, but he was in phenomenal condition. He can still step you within a shoebox.
Anyone who's that age and still confident take their shirt off at training. I wasn't taking my shirt off when I was 36 when I retired. Honestly, I was hiding from the cameras. But I agree with your answer. I'll give you a high five on that.
High five. Yeah. High five.
Next one, boys. France can't win a quarter-final without Antoine Dupont.
Can't.
You flip-flopped.
So they can or can't?
They can't win a quarter-final without Antoine Dupont.
They're playing South Africa.
There you go.
So what do you reckon, Just?
Look, I certainly feel that, all right, to justify my answer here, first of all, I want to compliment Antoine Dupont. He is an outstanding rugby player, not just scrum half. Like, the things that he does on the rugby field motivates players around him, and it motivates his team. So, yeah, not having him on the field has an effect on France. The France-New Zealand game, if you want to go all the way back, the All Blacks did a number on him. It was probably one of the most average games I've seen him play. They shut him down. Aaron Smith harassed him. He didn't thrive, so he didn't prosper. France still won the game. So someone else can fit into that role and adequately do a scrum half role, and the rest of the French players around can still play well enough to beat an All Black team. No doubt about the fact that they are a different beast with him, but they are still a very good side. Yep. And they didn't have Dante and co in that game against the All Blacks. They've got some firepower back, really balanced back row. Front five are tough, run hard, props want their hands on the ball. Outside backs can finish, Pernod and co. Really good goal kicker in Ramos. They can still win a quarter-final against anybody. Not that it's just South Africa. They are a good side. But they're going to be a tough nut to crack, mate.
They are playing South Africa. That is the point. If there's a 99.9% chance that Ireland will beat Scotland, there is a 0.01 chance Scotland will beat Ireland.
The Springboks, potentially that's the clash that's going to be set up. Pollard is the last piece of the puzzle for the Boks if they're going to win this World Cup.
Is this a...
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Again, division. Right, nice. Shala, you first.
As I said previously, I think he is starting, get scoreboard pressure, make him part of the bomb squad. And he's going to come and open things up. And things change during the game. Polly is great, so is Libok, but we need that scoreboard pressure.
Basically, in my mind, France can survive without Dupont. South Africa, they can survive without Pollard. They can, and they can do that, but all they have to do is shift their mindset. They played Libok against the All Blacks at Twickenham, and their mindset was into the 22, into the 22.
I would say
and they just massively put them under pressure. 2 yellow cards, I think it was, and they just they just ground them down because their mindset was, well, we're not going to kick goals from all over the park, but we're going to come at you physically, and we're going to pin you down with our defence, and we're going to take you onside your 22 and see if you survive, and they didn't. So I feel South Africa can survive without him, even if they're not kicking goals. No, he's not. He's still a good general, but he's not a massive threat with ball in hand. He runs pretty straight. Libok offers many options. Now my contradiction. The only player in the world, apart from Dupont, that I feel that a team cannot survive this tournament with is Johnny Sexton. He is literally the heartbeat of that side. And they are a different outfit with ball in hand, attacking in particular. Johnny, hopefully you don't hear this. You're not a great defender. You're a good defender. But with ball in hand...
He shipped in with a living against the Springboks. Top
Did
tackler.
He? Okay.
Yeah.
But Ireland thrive off him. They thrive off him. And there's no one that sits in his company in that Irish setup that can control a game and control the teammates, put players in space like him. So there you go. Massive contradiction. One player doesn't make a team, but Connie he does.
But Johnny does. I love it. Hey,
Johnnie Beattie.
Oh, no, definitely not. Boys, great debate. I love it. Thank you for taking part. We're going to move on to our next section, which is Reddit and Weep. We've been trolling through the archive, the Rugby Union Reddit this week, and these are some of your hot takes. We're going to put them to the guests and see what they think. The first one, Antoine Dupont returning to training on Sunday. There's nothing bigger for him to win except for this tournament, so he's going to risk it all. If he wins it, he could honestly retire as one of the all-time greats, aged 24. If France go the whole way and they win this comp with Antoine Dupont, given the context and the injury, does he go down as one of the best of all time?
I mean, winning a World Cup in your home nation, that would be a thing that I've never experienced, and that would be probably, I would say yes to that. Although he's 24, what he means to the team, winning in France, for their first World Cup ever, that would be...
Captain as well.
Captain.
Think of Francois Pienaar.
Yeah. They're going to make movies of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, French movies.
It'd be epic, but then also at the same time, I'm trying to think of comeback stories through injuries, or would that be the biggest that we've had in rugby? I can't think of another injury like that where somebody makes it back and leads and captains, and this is all hypothetical. And
Andre Joubert broke his hand in the 95 World Cup, but that is, I mean, he wasn't captain, or he did play a vital role, but that is pretty big, huh?
I'd have to agree, I think, just for the mere fact that he's 24 years old, and things he's under 20s, top 14s, European Cups, Six Nations, Grand Slam.
Yeah.
And then if he pulls this off at 24, with the pressure of being a captain of a home nation, hosting a World Cup, Richie McCaw led it in 2011, Francois Pienaar in 95, and they were quite experienced at that time with age. And if he can do this at 24, he could, and that's just.
And he would be the shortest guy to ever lift the World Cup as well. So I mean,
he would take it from you, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is. Guys under 6 foot has never lifted the World Cup, so he would be the first.
He's doing it for the little fella.
To be fair, McCaw did it in 2011. He played from the quarterfinal on with a broken
foot.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Right.
He wasn't training. They just played. They just rolled him out, and he played like not 50 minutes. He played right through 80 with a. So that's probably one guy that was playing with an injury and captain his side to a home Rugby World Cup.
Not bad, eh?
Yeah.
You reckon you're going to put a face guard like Zorro on? Or
like those ones that the footballers,
yes.
the goalkeepers or whatever, or they got to hit the ball and they look like something out of, what's the Phantom of the Opera?
Right, next one. Australian hopes. Suddenly the idea of Portugal beating and preventing Fiji from getting a bonus point doesn't seem that impossible. I know we weren't great, but considering we only narrowly lost to Fiji, Portugal turn up next week, it's not totally out of question. Did you see enough from Portugal on Sunday to suggest they could beat Fiji? Is that in the realms of possibility, or Fiji going to be too strong?
Have you seen the size of the Fijian, the flying Fijians? They are massive. They're quick, they're strong. Well, look, I love, for me, as I said, they're the like tier 2 nations that's pushed hard, played a fantastic brand of rugby, showed their passion, want to grow. I think there's only 6,000 registered rugby players, 6,000 or 9,000 rugby players in Portugal. And they're passionate about the game, but against Fiji, no, it's in their blood. They will not let this slip.
Henry?
I think it's going to be a great atmosphere to be a part of. Portugal it felt like they were playing a home game against the Wallabies. But when you have those games in the World Cup where it's a slip-up or a tough one, sometimes you need that to kick on. And I think Fiji's had that against Georgia to sort of just wake them up a bit, and they'll come out firing against Portugal.
The haka, the best pre-match war dance in the comp. So obviously we've had the haka, we've had Samoan, Tongan, Fijian as well. Madagascar as well, I'm not sure if you've seen the images, but they've got their own, which is sensational as well. You should check that out. All spectacular. I love the CB in particular. Does anyone have a favourite, or does everyone default to the haka?
You're asking a South African?
Yeah.
That is the biggest respect you can show each other. For me, it's theirs. Not he's my mate, but the arch enemy is the All Blacks. There's no other team you want to beat more than the All Blacks. That is sort of an extremely respectful thing, and you say, okay, are you ready to go to war? And the best part is you kick the living crap out of each other for 80 minutes, and then afterwards you have a beer, because there's so much in common. I mean, even you play against each other and you play with each other, and afterwards, or that sounds wrong, played with each other at Saracens. Sorry, my goodness. But I mean, the thing is that you've got so much same value, same competitive spirits, and that is one great thing I love about the All Blacks is that is for me, let's go, this is where you start, I'll show you respect, we show respect by standing there and accepting the challenge.
But when you first come in, you obviously have different hakas at school. Do you have to go into the boys that don't know and you have to have like a practice? Like, is that ridiculous to say, or is it something that over the years has progressed and actually has been done?
No, it's very much part of it. Historically, you're taught about where the haka came from, the significance of it, the history of when it first started. Obviously, it's evolved, kamati that is, and it's where it is at now. Quite interestingly, the All Blacks have now gone to kapaponga, which is the haka that they've used all year. They haven't used kamati at all. So for the people out there that don't know, kamati is the traditional haka, and kapaponga is the new haka that they brought out in 2006, I think it was, for the first time. I was involved with the British and Irish Lions series in 2005, and that's when we started kapaponga as a team, but we didn't do it in that series. We're a little bit worried about the pressure, changing the haka in a series like that. If the haka, we brought it out and then we lost the test match, to be like, well, you changed the haka, what are you doing? But they're using that now. When I first made the All Blacks, I had to go in for haka practice, and it's one of the most embarrassing things that's ever happened to me in a jersey, because I was sitting next to a couple of the other rookies in the team. Andrew Mertens was one of them, and Zinzan Brooke, our kamatua at the time, said, right, we're here to learn about the haka. Does everybody know, how to do it? And if you don't, put your hand up. And I was like, put my hand down, because I thought I knew how to do it. And everybody else sort of put their hand up. So the ones that didn't, which was me, he made us get up in front of the entire team and show them how to do it. And obviously, I didn't know how to do it. So, I learned very quickly to respect it. But yes, in answer to your question, the All Blacks will practice the haka during the week. They'll choose the haka. Lately, it's only been the one that they've been choosing, but they've got two. And you are very much taught about what it means, the words in Māori, and why we do it and what it's about.
Boys, thank you very much for your views. The Reddit forum never disappoints. Our fans will keep them coming. We'll pitch them to the guests next week. Let's take a quick look back at France and the Springboks, what they've been doing during camp this weekend, and the All Blacks, who surprised a very lucky fan. Not a bad birthday surprise. You'll remember that for a long time. That is awesome. Just how important is it for the boys to have these interactions with the fans during the competition?
Oh, it's massive. I think it makes the World Cup what it is, and to interact not only with the fans but the general public, seeing that they can do things that people appreciate, and it's out of nowhere, it's out of the blue. That's what rugby's about. It's why rugby's so good, isn't it? The players don't mind, the fans love it. That's perfect.
I had my great interaction in Japan. I almost had a back spasm after doing a school visit because everyone's just like jumping and bowing, and I didn't know what to do. But it's so great to go to these schools and meet everyone, and it was for us for my experience in 2019. It was just phenomenal, and it brings the vibe to it, right? It's not just on the stadiums, but actually get people that isn't interested in rugby, get them sort of excited about a game that they didn't know, or in France they probably do know.
It's incredible to see. Boys, we've reached our last segment, the fantasy wall. We've had hundreds of thousands of people sign up to play this game. We need your influence. Your decisions are going to help them pick who's going to be in their team in round 5. First up, your first option is Ardi Savea. He got 92 points against Italy, 152 points in total so far. He's got a value of 7, and 36% of the players have picked him. Uruguay in the next game, how important is he going to play? Would you have him in your team? Would you bench him? What do you reckon?
I don't think he's going to be picked. You reckon?
They have to pick their best side, mate. They have to. Like their next game is a quarter-final against Ireland. 100%. It's not fair on Uruguay, but at the end of the day, they've got to pick their top side, and if they need other players to have a run, do it off the bench. So Ardi was unbelievable in that game. Yeah, I know the opposition, but yes, I would definitely have him in there. He's a points meter eater.
He's a man beast. Is there anybody else that you'd have ahead of him, given the opposition, who's going to be playing? Or are we saying to everyone, Ardi's your man to start?
I mean, it's going to be, this is harsh to say. It's going to be cricket score. So he's going to make meters. Yeah. He's going to run meters,
tries,
steals, tries,
offloads. All these things count.
Yeah.
We starting him?
Starting him. Put him at the top.
Your next one.
I like the body you put with the face.
He probably had nothing to do with it, but it's a good compliment.
Nothing to do. Arts and crafts is not my gig. Your next one, Darcy Graham, winger for Scotland, 4 tries at the weekend, outrageous. 195 in an impressive performance against Romania, 251 points in total. That's now the most points by any player in the game, a value of 8, and he's been selected by 24% of everyone that plays the game. Up against Ireland though, on the wing, it's going to be much more difficult. Is Darcy Graham in your team, or would you have another winger?
From a winger?
I'd start him.
You'd start him?
He'll be in my team. But it can be a good balance with him and Dwayne. Is it Dwayne? Dwayne on the other wing? Duhan. Well, just going off confidence, you might as well keep rolling with it.
So you'd have him
as
in?
A winger.
Boys, any change? Would you bench him?
Yeah, I agree. But I also like to contradict myself, so I'll disagree as well. He will find space and opportunities and tries and everything else much, much more difficult against that Ireland defence. I think other wingers at the weekend, and slightly easier, like French wingers, whatever, they're obviously playing Italy. Look at the cricket score New Zealand put up. I think other wingers will score more points.
Bench him, because he's not going to get the space. Ireland's fantastic in the way they take down space. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
We're going to sit on the fence. We'll chuck him in the middle because there's other wingers to get through.
Okay.
And maybe at the end we can shift.
Sure.
So let's go middle. Next on the list is Damian Penaud. You just mentioned big game this weekend on the wing. 166 points in the last outing against Namibia. He's got 218 in total. He's got a value of 10. So he's expensive, but he averaged 109 points per game. Only 9% of users have picked him. Italy up next. And you just mentioned the score that New Zealand racked up. So Damian Penaud, is he as important as anyone?
What other wingers have you got?
So here we've got Darcy Graham, we've got Damian Penaud. We still got a 12 and a tight head to get through.
Oh, okay.
So my team, I'd keep him in, given who he's playing against. Yeah. And I think the French want to make a massive statement after what the All Blacks did to Italy. I think he could be on fire.
So Damian Penaud,
personally,
he starts.
Yeah.
Okay, next we're going Bundy Aki. 36 points against South Africa, probably one of the most consistent players at the competition so far. 231 points in total, a value of 9.5. He's expensive, but he averages 77 points per game. Only 6% of players have selected him so far. Scotland next. Has he been one of the players of the tournament so far, your opinion? And would you start him or would you bench him?
He's been phenomenal this whole tournament. He's the guy that's getting the go forward. I mean, there's now off points, and mostly New Zealand and England has played 10 at 12 and 10. It's shown with South Africa, with Ireland. If you've got a 12 that can punch to get momentum and keep that channel strong, he's been phenomenally defensively as well.
Yeah.
So I just like the way him and Sexton works together. So yeah, I like him. I like the way he plays.
Starting, anyone benching, or are we all starting Bundy Aki in our 12 team?
I'm not benching him.
No.
Last up, Big Ben Tamifuna. He was monumental again last night. One of the most physical boys in the game. Scored a try against Scotland, another one against South Africa at the weekend. 49 points in defeat to South Africa, a value of 4.5. 11% of users have picked him. What did you make of him and the way he went about his business against South Africans? And would you select him or would you bench him?
He was absolutely phenomenal against South Africa. To carry 180 kilograms, 190 kilograms like that and still run and tackle and scrum and lift and do everything he did. I'm only joking. Please don't smash me if you see me. For me, it's that guy is phenomenal. The way he played, the leadership actually he showed on the pitch. Like, when was this? When there was a yellow card, a penalty for Eben tackled someone high, and I felt like he was leading that group and saying, "Boys, we need to man up now. Let's go." And he was taking the ball up time after time after time, and mostly with the big boys. What lacks sometimes is work ethic. I checked him; he was there going to carry that weight to scrum, maul, and do what he did. Fair play.
Yeah. He's a phenomenal athlete. So we're having Big Ben as our tight head?
And it's Romania, isn't it, that they're playing? They're going, he's going to do some damage, so he's going to score some points. Yeah, I would keep him in.
So we're having him.
Proper captain's knock. Yeah.
The coaches have spoken. There we go. Those are our highlights for round 5. Before we let you go, boys, I want to get your predictions for the rest of the tournament. I want a winner from each of you. Henry, I'm going to start with you. We're going to come around. Who's going to win and why?
Go on, say Australia.
Well, you can't say South Africa. Is that how we're playing? Anyone you want, Henry.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Well, I'll probably go a bit. I'll pick France.
Look, South Africa, I'm going to go hands up. I think we've got the squad. We've got the depth. Malcolm Marx is a massive loss for us, yes, but I think we can and hopefully will do it. And normally I would go other side of the table and go, I hope New Zealand is Southern Hemisphere. But for World Rugby, it would be good that someone that hasn't won the World Cup wins this World Cup. And that would be either Ireland or France. And being at a host nation and hopefully playing in the Ponce movie, I hope France wins it.
Well, obviously, you're always feeling that sort of tang of making sure that you're looking after the team that you care about the most. So, I'd love to see the All Blacks win the final. I think they're capable of it, but they've got some huge challenges. So I will say yes to the All Blacks. I feel they still have the capability of winning it. If they didn't, I agree with Sculler. I think what South Africa did in '95 by winning that Rugby World Cup was the catalyst for where they are in the world now. They needed to win that World Cup. A degree of me feels like someone like France or Ireland equally could grow the game so much if either one of them won a World Cup for the first time ever. I do feel in my mind that France, perennial, get knocked out in finals, semi-finals. They've been there or thereabouts right since '87, and they've never actually finally lifted the trophy, so it kind of would be fitting for them in their home country.
Either way, it's going to be epic. Boys, thank you very much for your time and for joining us. Justin, Shala, Henry, it's been epic. For you guys at home, remember you can follow all of our content and the rest of the competition, get your highlights at Rugby Pass TV, and we'll join you for another episode next week.